Well, welcome back to the studio.
Feels good to be back.
Dude, it's been a while.
Like
Months.
6 months.
Months,
I think.
man.
Yeah.
Months.
Well, maybe more than that. Like 7 or 8.
Yeah, it's been forever since we've done this. We've had the podcast going every week, obviously, which has been a big accomplishment in and of itself.
Right.
I mean,
so that's what the goal was.
It's
52 of them, and this is the 52nd. So.
Yeah, I think in our first episode we said like we're gonna do one every single week, every single Thursday. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, and well, what's today? 23rd.
Yep.
Well, a year ago yesterday is when we finished up the studio. So kind of ironic.
Yeah, it was pretty wild, man. That was a good time. I remember just a short year ago we were
getting wood and
getting all this. Yeah,
10 degrees outside and.
Had this carpet from a basement that flooded, so I took this home from work and some 2x4s that were just going to be chopped up and thrown away, so brought those back. Harvested the barn wood from your place.
Yeah.
And
it looks really sweet, actually. Like, it sucks that we don't get to use it
I
more.
know.
Like,
I know.
we drywalled it all, ran new electrical.
I hear you.
Built this whole table. I don't know if you guys can even see it, but built this whole table from scratch.
All out of the same barn wood stuff. We had enough left over. It's like, hey, let's make a table.
Right.
we did it, man. Yeah, it was pretty cool. And that was just a year ago. And now here we are, episode 52.
Yep.
And that's kind of what we want to do today, is just kind of talk about the year we had, do a little bit of a year in review. I know with our channel, we like to kind of go back sometimes and look at old videos, and sometimes there's ones we forgot about. We're like, oh man, I forgot we even posted that, and just kind of reminisce on that a little bit because we did have a pretty cool year.
I love watching all the old videos. Like, I watch a lot of other YouTube, but then like, oh, no one posted today or something. Like, I'll just go watch our old stuff. It's pretty cool to see that, like we did that.
Yeah, for sure.
See how cringy I am sometimes, or
I mean, yeah, some of the older ones, the more time that passes, the more you look back and you're like, oh man,
yeah,
that was a little bit brutal, but
came a long way.
Yes, yeah, and still a long ways to go, but yeah. So I think we're gonna kind of go back through some of the things we posted throughout the year, and being the last episode for the year, we kind of wanted to do this one in person, a little bit throwback to how we started, and I guess with that there is a little bit of an announcement here into next year, into 2024. I think we're going to take a step back from the podcast, and we're going to move into the YouTube Shorts a lot more, and that's going to be our main focus outside of our normal YouTube videos. So all that stuff's still going to be there. All the spearing, the hunting, deer, turkeys, small game, the fishing. We're still going to do product reviews, how-tos, all that stuff. The normal videos are still going to be there, and we're going to keep on that, every 2 weeks type of schedule for that. But the podcast that we've done every week, we're going to take a step back from that, and we're going to move into the YouTube Shorts a little bit more. And I know we've started experimenting with those, and we've had some really good results, and it's been really fun. And I think that it could be really big for us, so we're kind of going to move in that direction and see what happens.
That's exciting. They're fun. I like making them.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, they're quick and easy to make, and so you can make a lot of them and really have some fun with it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we're looking forward to that. I think that's going to be a bigger thing for us. So, obviously, sorry to anybody who really likes listening to the podcast, but it's still going to be there. If there's topics that we really feel the need to talk about, or a guest we want to have on and whatever, we're still going to have all this stuff available. So there's still going to be podcasts every now and then, but for the most part, I think we're going to kind of take a step back from that. But it's been a heck of a year, man.
Yeah, just looking at all these videos up on the laptop right now, I'm like, we did a lot of stuff.
Yeah. One of the first ones we had a year ago was one of the small game hunts, and had a pretty cool find with that one as well.
Yeah, that was like, what was it, January 2nd we did that, I think?
Yeah, something like that.
That was pretty fun. Went out, doing the normal shooting stuff, because I can't sit at home, and neither can Noah, and something was open to hunt, so we did it, and we ended up with couple rabbits, handful of squirrels, and a pretty cool buck that I found on the side of the road when we were driving back to a different spot when we had a lot of snow at that time. We don't have a drop of snow right now, but we must have got pretty fresh snow that weekend.
Yeah.
And there was, I could just see half of his rack sticking out, and we were going 60 miles an hour. And I'm like, dude, I think that was a shed. So we turned around pretty much right off of, not a highway, but like the main highway in that small town.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we turn around. I pulled back up. I'm like, yeah, that is. And then we like, it's a whole deer. It was a fresh, probably a couple days old, maybe a little longer than that. Buried in the snow pile, and then we did the right thing, called the DNR, got on the up and up, got the tag for it, and got to cut the head off, and made a really sweet European mount out of it that's in my living room now.
Yeah,
so,
and he was a really promising, 2.5-year-old up and comer.
Sucks for the people who had him on camera that he survived through gun season, that he didn't make it, but
he was a really, really nice buck.
Yeah,
and a really cool find, and just totally by chance, like you said. And how many people drove by and didn't see it or didn't think it was worth it or whatever. So I don't know how he even ended up cutting the head off, but
I had a few knives with me, but
we have to go back to your.
No, I had the fillet knife. I just didn't think I'd be able to cut through the bone. So I just basically cut around his neck and twisted his head off.
Yeah, the twist is always gonna make it happen.
Right.
But yeah, then that was like our next video, is making those Euro mounts, and that's always fun. I love doing that.
Yeah, it's fun, stinky, cold, but it was. We got the technique down.
Yeah,
lots of Dawn dish soap, and just let them boil for as long as possible.
And you can't be afraid of the pressure washer.
No, pressure washers. You might break a few bones, but nothing important.
Only if you're not super careful with it. I mean, we've used bleach in the past, like before we knew what we were doing, on some that we had found, and that will really break away and eat away at the bone. And then if you pressure wash it, it's probably going to shatter.
Right.
But if you keep the bleach out of there and you just boil it and then pressure wash it and go back and forth on that, we were totally fine doing that.
Yeah.
And you just got to boil it for longer than you think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just let it go.
Just let it go. And then hit it with the pressure washer, take off as much meat as you can, and then send it back in there. Yeah, and obviously, I feel like the day that we did those, it was like 10 degrees.
Yeah, it wasn't very warm.
I mean, today it's 45?
Yeah, and they were sitting outside my garage, so they were frozen, kind of. Then I tried skinning them, and it's just...
Yeah.
You live and learn.
Yeah.
Then we did that other one in the summer, too.
Yeah, we did a podcast while we were boiling it. Remember that?
Yep. That wasn't summer, but it was like April, and it was like the first nice day.
Yeah.
I was in shorts, I think, I remember.
Yeah.
It was warm out, and that one was probably honestly worse than the wind. I mean, that one was also may have been decaying in my backyard for a while before we did the whole boiling process. And,
but we didn't do it in your backyard.
No, this time we went to a location outside of town.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing, because the cops definitely would have been coming to my house.
After the first time we did those couple. And yeah.
I was just talking to my neighbor about that the other day. I'm like, hey, just giving you a warning, I'm probably going to be doing some more. These ones shouldn't smell nearly as bad.
Didn't your neighbor come out and ask if we were boiling hot dogs?
No, the one did, yeah. Like, you could probably make it. I mean, they're probably the same thing hot dogs are made out of, but
man.
Yeah, that was wild.
Yeah, it's always something. But yeah, that was, and throughout that time, we had our first couple of podcast episodes, and we were right here and getting used to it. And then we brought Colby in. He made the road trip over, and that was like our first guest on. So we had 3 of us in here, and that was obviously pretty comfortably 3 of us. I know that was always a question of space and whatever.
Came through.
Hey man, we debated this for a while. We didn't know if this couch was gonna hold up, but I mean, look at it.
Yeah, she's done her job.
And now, if we kind of move away from these, this might end up in a deer stand or something.
It could, very well could.
Or if it's too big, we can saw it in half and build another arm and put it in 2 different deer stands. That could work.
That's a good idea. The ottoman too.
Yeah, get the ottoman in there, and then we're really comfy.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had Colby on a couple times in there actually, and then of course shortly after January and small game hunting and all that stuff comes the infamous sturgeon spearing season.
And that was well, we had a successful year, but before that we posted the Dad and I and Noah helped us with our shack. Dad and I built a brand new shack, so that was pretty much like a 6-month process from start to finish with the video.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we started in July or June, probably June. And we're busy, and it just, kind of a little bit here, a little bit there. Finally, honestly, didn't really get it off buttoned up till like the end of January. And partially because, we're hunting every single weekend, and my dad and I both obviously work, so it's, you come home from work, it's like, especially when it's cold and dark out, like,
yeah,
we don't need to do it. And then it's a weekend, but super long process, but I think it turned out pretty cool. Like, the whole, I think we captured it pretty well, start to finish, for the most part of everything that we did. So I think it's a pretty sweet video. I go back and rewatch that one too. Like I'm helping a buddy right now kind of do his, and I'm like making more suggestions. Like, oh, I did this, but I would do it differently if I were you, type of thing. Yeah. So,
and when it comes to stuff like that, like if you have no background in building anything, you're probably going to struggle no matter what the video is. But like if you're fairly handy and know how to do some of that stuff, it's more so just like coming up with the ideas, things to think about, stuff like that.
Right. Where you put this, where you put your hole, where the door goes, stuff like that.
Yeah. And yeah, you did a really great job with that. A lot of time lapses in there too, and you can see like the start when you're in a t-shirt and shorts or a cut off, and then, by the end of it, the thumbnail's in the snow.
Yeah.
So
it was pretty cool.
Yeah. And then obviously we're into spearing.
And we had the famous Mikey McDowell. I mean, that was a great podcast.
Yep.
He's probably jacked up right now for it. I would assume so.
Oh my gosh, yeah. He's got the shacks all lined up in the driveway, ready to go.
For sure.
Yeah. No, he's always a fun guy to talk to, and he had a lot of good stories. A lot of people liked that one. We had somebody come at us for a copyright infringement on that one, which was the most ridiculous thing ever because they don't understand how copyright works. But
yeah,
that was a whole thing, and it just kind of fizzled out from there because I think they realized that they had no idea what they were talking about.
Right.
But that was kind of cool. It's like, okay, our 6th podcast episode of the year, and we're already trying to get in trouble with somebody.
Yep.
But yeah, then I mean, we talked about it because we had the 3 of us, you, me, and Mike.
Yep.
And we talked about the year, what we thought might happen, all that stuff, and then opening day. There you go.
Yeah, I don't think we thought quite the year we'd have the opening weekend we did.
No.
For sure.
Yeah.
Especially because, ice conditions the last few years have not been great. Weren't the best. Opening weekend, they were the best, because I drove out. We took trucks out.
Yeah.
You didn't. You guys got ballsy. But I know by the end of the year, we were all taking 4-wheelers. Like, everybody was on wheelers and stuff. But, yeah, opening weekend was, I don't know, what I speared that one at, like 8:10?
It was, like, right away, dude.
Like an hour after it opened. And
yeah.
I mean, that was pretty cool to be in the new shack for, I ate an hour sitting there, and I speared a 74-pound F1, 62-inch or something like that. I don't even know the inches, but my second biggest. So it was like, okay, well, this is pretty cool. And before that, I think we had 2 more in our group get speared. And then after I speared that one, 2 other ones got speared. So we got like 5 in our group, which is separate from his group, who also speared some. So, like, opening day was just electric. I called Noah and Gabby right away, and he's like, because we've talked about this before, but I just think it's funny. Like, we don't call each other unless we kill something.
Right.
Like, if Noah calls me, I'm like, okay, something died. Or if I call him, he's thinking, we killed something type of thing, or someone's dead.
Pretty much. Like, if it's 6 o'clock in, a September, October, November evening and you're calling me, it's probably not just to check in and chat. Yeah. Right. Something probably went down. So you call me an hour in, or you FaceTime me, and it's like, no way. You did not. There's no way. An hour in?
Uh-huh.
Really? And then lo and behold, then I end up spearing
Yeah,
one.
and then you FaceTime me,
Yeah.
and I was sitting with my dad. I'm like, Noah's called. I'm like, he never calls. Like, this is good. And I'm like, no, I think my exact words were, shut the F up or something like that.
Yeah. And then Mike goes and spears one.
Yeah.
That was kind of one of those things, like, we just couldn't believe it. We had the three of us here talking about it. And obviously, when it comes to sturgeon spearing, it's just such a rare feat. And we've been spoiled. I've been spoiled more than anybody. But,
right.
like, it's such a rare thing. We can't have all this, talk about, oh, yeah, we're going to spear them. But, like, the reality is it just doesn't happen. And then for all three of us to go and spear a fish like that year.
That was wild.
It's just, what are the chances, man? It's just crazy.
Super fun. I mean, I had just blasts at Wentz after. Then we went to Mike's. That was fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And I'm almost positive he's upriver this year.
I know he's close.
Yeah, I thought he was. Somebody is.
I don't know if
Maybe
he
he
was
missed
or if
it.
he was
I
going
don't
to
know.
wait to draw without some other. Well, because now it's more and more.
Right. You got to get, yeah.
So.
But yeah, I mean, he's ready. We're ready. It's going to be hopefully another good year. And then, we had him back on after that to obviously talk about all that. We had Joel Warner on, and he had a lot of good stories as well. Little bit more small game hunting, some more tests and reviews. I mean, it's tough to get content during these couple of months here. Like,
right.
There's not a whole lot going on in December and January. February is great with spearing, but also if we don't spear any, I mean, we've just gotten super lucky.
Right.
But if we don't spear any, that gets tough. And then you get into March, April, you're just waiting for turkey hunting.
Well, yes, we are. But then, honestly, shed hunting is my favorite.
That's true.
I love that. It's just something about when the daylight savings switches over, the days are starting to get longer. It's only 45, 50 degrees and the sun's out, but it feels like it's like 70 here in Wisconsin. And it's just like walking around with a T-shirt and the sun's out and the snow's melting and you're just getting out after like hibernating all winter.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things to do. Like, that's top tier of my summer or my springtime activities.
I think springtime in general is underrated.
It truly is.
I mean, everybody obviously loves fall because of deer hunting, but like, I mean, spring is just, especially when you have a Wisconsin winter. I mean, we've been lucky again this year so far.
Pretty mild the last couple years, actually.
Really, yeah. But there'll always be a couple weeks where it's below zero for a week and you get dumped on with snow.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot going on. Then all of a sudden, it's warming up, and then you can be out there in a T-shirt or at least a hoodie and walking around and be comfortable.
Yeah, it's not even like it's 60 degrees. It's only 45, but it's just the sun's different.
Yeah, it's
it really
nice
is.
for us. And the sun's out, and things are starting to get green, and the snow's melting, and there's just something about it, man.
Go walk. People are like, you just walk around for 6-7 hours in the day. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, it's pretty fun, actually.
Yeah. It is super fun. And that's pretty much sums it up. I mean, we had some more podcasts in there. We had Eli on virtually, Colby on virtually, and then we had Brian Wendt come on, and then we had who else did we have? We had Matt Dorrell come on. And we did a couple other reviews and some of these things. Then we had of course the boiling skull one that was in there, but then that that video right there, that's our shed hunting and then finding another deadhead.
Yeah, that was a little more bittersweet. That one was bit. That was a buck we had. My uncle passed up, and hard to say. Obviously, he was shot with a crossbow. I don't know if they just
because we found the bolt in him, yeah,
and I don't know the whole story. That deer could have been alive for could have lived for a week after, and then just ended up laying there and dying, and whatever happened.
Yeah,
and I'm just glad that we found him, to be honest, and that you get to, because it was a really good buck, and I another one hanging in my living room right now, and it's pretty cool to have that stuff, even if you didn't kill it. It's still nice to have, and I found 4 other dead bucks that year, so I don't know what was going on. Obviously, the one that we found with the crossbow bolt, we know how that one died, but the other 4, I don't I don't know. They were all little year and a halves. And I did take those skulls. I'm gonna boil them up pretty quick here, but it's a little fishy. So that's kind of another thing. You see a lot of stuff in the spring that you maybe wouldn't see if you weren't out there. So
Yeah, we've definitely, I mean, just in shed hunting, seen a lot of those things that, like you said, you'd have no idea any of that stuff was going on
Right.
if you weren't out there. But dead fawns and whatever. I mean,
find dead deer.
yeah, dead turkeys. I mean, we've learned a lot about the property even just through shed hunting and
Correct.
just walking it around like that. But then after that, of course, the infamous turkey season, and that's I
can
almost
just
don't
skip
look
over
forward
that,
to it
yeah.
anymore, man. We have just gotten our butts kicked, and we shouldn't. There's no excuse for it. There's no way we should be as bad at turkey hunters as we are.
I wouldn't even say bad. It's just I don't know what the deal is.
I mean,
It's
what
just
else could you call it?
bad luck, maybe. But
I mean,
I did mess up. I missed one. I'll say that. I got a little trigger. I just crushed a tree. I didn't miss the tree. Little trigger happy. Probably if I would have held out, Dad probably would have got a shot. But he was getting weary. He was doing the old stretch the neck out, getting looky, and about ready to bolt. Because I called him off the roost. Like, he was down. And I shot at him before other turkeys were even flying down. Like, he was just coming, like, on a string. And, he got there, and he didn't see any decoys or anything. And there was 3 of us. We were hid well, but it was like, I messed that up. So that stung a little bit. I haven't, it was a while since I missed a turkey, so.
I know. But, we more than anything, we had that competition going with Colby and Eli. Because, we got on the podcast and then get to talking and whatever. And we're like, yeah, let's do a competition here. And
well, those guys took off for 4 weeks to do this. So we had to work. I mean,
yeah, it was rigged the whole time. But, of course, opening weekend, they're out grilling in the middle of a field at the truck. And, Eli's there in his long underwear, just manning the grill, making sandwiches, and then of course, he puts one down.
And they had a great season. I mean, Colby's hunt was,
oh my gosh,
I've never seen that before in my life. Like, that is just unreal.
As few views as that video got is just criminal.
It is. It truly is.
That's some of the best turkey hunting footage. I don't care who you are. That's some of the best that's ever been captured. I've never seen a cooler clip than that one.
And TikTok, we had it up there, and they get all
it was climbing, and
just
then
blowing up, and they get all butthurt about killing stuff. So
yeah, that might have to end up on the YouTube Shorts.
We'll try again and see if we can
post
it. And it's just insane that you can get that many toms that close to you
on public land,
gobbling their heads off. Like that was sweet.
Yeah,
we've had some cool experiences with the fans and couples coming in, but nothing
100%.
like that. Nothing like that.
But that's next level, man. Unbelievable.
Yeah, that was wild.
So they had a really good year, and of course, we really didn't. And then, time moves on. We had Justin Schneider on, and he was really cool to talk to. I think you sat out that one, but we had Colby on, and him, and he made it in person, and
I was here. I just didn't.
Oh yeah,
I was just
were you
chilling.
you were
I
on
was
the
just kinda-
ottoman, just chilling over there,
Uh-huh.
just listening
because I don't fish a ton, so
right.
it was cool to listen though, because dude knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, no, that was a super fun conversation. I don't really know much either, but listening to him and Colby go back and forth was really cool. And then looking at your bow target review video, that was a fun one.
Yeah,
Kind of played around with that one a little bit.
Yeah, that was fun.
Didn't take it too seriously or anything. And then rolling more into summertime, and Colby and I took a big trip up to Canada.
Yep, they had a great trip, I'd say.
Oh my gosh,
Makes me want to fish.
yeah. If you could catch them like that consistently,
Yeah, maybe we'll get the invite one time to go up there.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I don't even know what the numbers were. I don't want to get it wrong, but it's in the hundreds, upper hundreds, close to 1,000 of fish that they're catching.
Yeah,
I mean, they're catching big northerns. They're mostly fishing for walleyes and just absolutely hammering them. There's some clips in there. They had footage from 5 days or whatever it was, and certain clips I wasn't even cutting down. They were just every single cast,
Yeah.
one after the other.
Right.
I think Eli at one point in there is saying, you know, he was at cast number 40 or something, and he had to catch a fish to be at 90%.
Yeah.
It's just like,
Yeah, he's at like 35 is something crazy.
yeah, 35 for 40 casts or
Yeah.
something. Just unbelievable fishing. And you know you can't keep that many
Right.
in Canada. There's like limits to it and whatever, but just to have fun and, you know, be in the scenery like that.
Yeah, like the backwoods, like they have no service.
Yeah, I mean they're carrying canoes in there
Yeah.
to some of those spots, and yeah, that's pretty cool. And then, you know, getting into summertime, and aside from fishing, you know, there's not a whole lot of hunting that goes on either, but we definitely do a lot more preparation at that time, planting food plots and all that stuff. So
Yep.
I know we always look forward to it. And there's a, you know, a little bit more fishing in there, but we kind of rolled through that, you know, without too much going on. And next thing we knew it was September.
Yeah.
And, you know, then we had our little get together ahead of the season. Went over
Yeah.
to Colby's house. He had just finished up his new man cave area.
We were kind of planning on shooting bows a lot, and that didn't really pan out the next morning. We we had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Stayed up pretty late.
Yeah.
Filmed some great podcasts. So
How late were we up podcasting?
2.
Yeah. And I think I stayed up for another hour with Colby,
I
just
went
shooting
to
the
bed.
breeze.
Yeah. The bush lattes were flowing.
I remember when we woke up the next morning, you didn't look like you were having a fun time at that
I
point.
was a little hazy eyed.
And they were going to do their fantasy football draft after that.
Yeah, they were going golfing.
Yeah,
and then doing
golfing. Yeah, and then the draft is like, oh, you boys are in for it.
I know. I went up to the woods that day too. I
Did
don't
ya?
even- I don't even remember what I was doing. Filling waters and checking cameras, and I was like, I didn't eat anything, and I got up there, and I'm like, this is not good.
Yeah.
Like, I need some food.
You didn't stop at Quick Trip?
No, I ran to Westfield and got McDonald's. Cause you know how I don't eat McDonald's. And I was like,
I know you
I
don't.
need some food. And I'm like, oh man.
Did you break your McDonald's fast? Was that the day?
Yeah, I
Because
guess
you had a big period of time
it's
where
like
it was no McDonald's.
over a year. I'm back on it though. That was like the
Well,
one
Yeah.
thing.
It wasn't the most sound logic I've ever heard for avoiding the McDonald's.
Well, it kind of is if you hear it.
No.
I would eat like 5 or 6 burgers every time I went there. Like that was not healthy.
Yeah, but you didn't have to.
But like if I'm
Ronald-
going there, I'm gonna eat that many. That's the whole point.
No, I know. But, like, I mean, Ronald McDonald isn't, like, forcing you at gunpoint to eat 6 cheeseburgers.
Yeah, but who's gonna go there and eat one? That's not gonna fill you up. That's like
I'm not saying
that's
you
an
gotta eat.
appetizer.
I'm not saying you gotta just eat one.
And it was so deceiving because it's so cheap there.
I know.
Like, oh, well, not anymore.
Not anymore.
They jacked it up, but I could go there when I was in high school and I'd get a large Coke, 2 McChickens, and 2 cheeseburgers, make a McGangbang
Yeah.
for $5.37.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I'm gonna come here every day,
Yeah.
and that was not good. Well, in high school, it was fine. I was playing sports,
Yeah, you could burn it
Yeah,
off pretty
yeah.
quick.
Get out of high school, and
You can still do the 2 cheeseburgers or 2 McChickens or a variation for like $3.
so 6
But
plus
then
the
you
soda.
get
Yeah,
a
$2.
bunch of 'em.
Inflation just through the roof. Yeah, but I mean, don't get me wrong. I love a good old cheeseburger and
Uh-huh.
McChicken. Oh,
Yeah.
I've upgraded though. If I do go out, I'll get some Culvers. Can't go wrong with Culvers.
You can't go wrong with Culver's.
No, I love me some Culvers.
But as you know, the more traveling we do for hunting and whatever, we're eventually going to run out of Culver states. You don't run out of McDonald's states.
No, God no.
They're
We might have to
international.
try. Oh yeah.
And I hope we do get some more road trips in us.
Yeah.
Obviously, we had one this year, but
No, we didn't. I got Culvers that trip, but then we ate a lot of.
we
good
weren't
food
that
there.
far though.
No,
We were just the next state over.
But we'll go back a bit. Colby made some smash burgers when we were at
Yes.
those were really good. The venison
Really good.
smash burgers were delicious.
Really good. Gabby made some the other day too.
That's
some
what she
of
said.
my dad's venison
Yeah.
and really, really good.
That's yeah.
Yeah, so obviously that was a good night to kind of kick things off, and then we had Sam Ubel from Chase Nation on the podcast, and then we recorded a couple podcasts that night, and then it was pretty much
right into
opening day.
that was probably one of the most like the coldest opening day I've ever sat. Probably because it rained the whole time on me, so I was actually shivering kind of because I wasn't prepared to get soaked. It wasn't supposed to rain that bad. I had my my lightweight on, my lightweight gear on, and it just poured in. My biggest pet peeve in the whole wide world is when my bow is wet. I can't stand it. And this year, I bet you my bow got rained on like 4 times.
Yeah.
And I just can't stand it. And of course, opening day, it gets soaked. I'm like, well, whatever. What are you going to do about it? And I saw some deer, and then the next night I saw a lot of deer. Like 12, 14, my dad hit a buck. We searched for it all night. Ended up not finding it. Noel and Gabby came out the next night. He went the next morning, too, and then we went back that night. Looked. Pretty much decided, like, hey, this buck's still alive. Long story short, 2 weeks later, he shows back up with a mark on his back, perfectly fine. And I just got a picture of him a couple weeks ago. He was there the whole year, so he survived. So he's around, so I think he'll be the top one next year.
Shot at redemption next year.
Unless, well, I'm hoping Terry Bradshaw's still around.
Yeah.
He'll be a 5.5, and I'm going to have 3 weeks to kill him before he disappears. I'm serious. He leaves the last 2 years, he leaves at the same time every year. So if he's still around, that's the deer I'm going to hunt the hardest. So.
Yeah.
But, yeah, opening weekend was pretty good. Kind of rolled into the second weekend. Noah and I got together hunting on a Friday night, which was super fun. Went into a death stand that probably shouldn't have been up in. Haven't been up in since. Saw a lot of deer. Almost got a shot at one. Good thing I didn't, because the next night I went into the same spot just in a bow stand, and I ended up killing my buck, Junkie. So that was really cool.
That was another one we talked about for a while. Like, we kind of knew you were probably going to shoot something the next night.
Right.
Because I was only going to stay for that one night and then go back, and you were going to hunt the weekend, and we knew you were probably going to end up shooting one. And, just the whole thing, the whole back and forth. And, you killed him not too far away from where we were sitting, right?
50 yards.
Yeah.
If that.
But then that was only a one-man stand. We would have had to hang a stand. So we were thinking about, well, what if we had sat there? And it's like, well, it just wouldn't have worked out. And ultimately, I think everything worked out as good as it could have.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and then, then my dad was the next one up, and that was pretty cool. We haven't shot a deer on that property in a number of years. I think it was his first buck in 8 years, and that's kind of been about the pace we've been on. But over the past couple of years, making some of the improvements that we have, things have gotten a lot better. This year was the best we've had.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a really, really good year. He shot that one, and we had him on camera all throughout the spring and through the summer. It was a 2.5-year-old, but, we knew of him, and he was kind of a regular. So to be able to harvest a buck that we had on camera all year, like that we considered a target, I mean, to actually go through that whole process, that's something we hadn't really done. In the past, if we were shooting a deer or shooting a buck, it was one that, we maybe had seen once or twice. We didn't really know of them that much, but this was like the first time that we really, had target bucks and ended up shooting one.
Right. Which was super cool to see that. And like you said, that was I'd agree that was your best year you guys have ever had with seeing deer wise and stuff. So
I mean, even coming back from Minnesota, the ones that you and I saw, I mean,
that was a fun morning. Almost, yeah.
Some of those
close,
hunts,
very very close.
Yeah, really close. I was drawn back twice. I was
Right.
a full draw, 2 separate times, and thinking about it, but probably made the right decision by not doing it. And some of that spurred from the one that I shot earlier in the year, and then we never found it. So it was like, well, not taking any chances now. And I wasn't really taking a chance with that one. That was kind of the way it went. I think we decided it was mostly just a low shot.
Just low and no vitals, and that deer's probably still alive. So
Yeah.
and I did feel bad a little bit about like talking you out of that when we were sitting after Minnesota when that second one came in. I was like, just wait, just wait.
It would have been.
I'm like, don't shoot. I was like,
It would have been a disaster. I would have had to got really, really lucky.
right. He was farther than we thought too. Like I knew he was out there, but I wouldn't have said 40. And lesson learned though, you'd be able to trim the trees there next year to be able to shoot out there. Yeah,
I did.
So.
When Ben and I sat in that stand for gun season,
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you ever saw the videos. I took my lifeline and I walked to the back of the stand and then walked back on the tree branches on the back side and then cut them all down.
Yeah.
So
Good.
it's clean back there.
Yeah.
Nothing. So, yeah, wide open. So that'll be nice. We'll actually be able to hunt that stand a little bit better. I mean, previously we just didn't have permission to hunt that field behind us because it's not ours.
Yep.
This year we got permission, so we had never really trimmed it up. It was like, well, that's just going to kind of be a good backdrop and, wait till they get into the woods and then we can hunt them. But now that we have permission to hunt that field, it's, anything goes.
Yeah.
And we thought it was going to be a little bit more productive during gun season, but whatever it was, whatever happened with that, it just didn't work out, But then Eli had some luck with Ty during the youth hunt.
A lot of dead deer in that video.
Yeah.
I think Colby shot one too with the bull, right?
Yeah,
With
Colby was out with his kids, and they weren't hunting yet, but he went out and shot a doe with a bow,
Yep.
and I think Ty shot a doe and a buck, and they both had some really cool footage, and that was a really fun video to put together there. And then obviously, we had a couple more, another doe or two here and there, and then we really got into the Minnesota trip. And as far as, personally, it was a fun trip. Buck fever-wise, we didn't get much out of it.
We got our asses kicked, but we had a fun time.
Yeah, it was a good trip. And we saw some deer, we saw some bucks. That trip could have ended up much
Really good.
different. Yeah.
Could have been stellar for everyone. Just close. A lot of close calls.
Yes. And some of that too is just, those guys have been going a while, but just being our first year too,
Right.
I don't even know how to hunt that per se. We had zero deer sightings when we were actually sitting in a stand.
Yeah,
Right?
in a tree.
Like
yes.
like when we hung stands and would sit there, we saw zero.
Right.
So that might kind of change how we do things going forward, but might have to change the strategy on that a little bit.
Yeah, we had that really good one behind us.
Yeah.
Got too deep too early, and we weren't even that far.
No, not at all.
Maybe 60 yards off the field. Probably not even 60 yards. Probably 40.
Probably 40.
And we should have been 12 yards up farther.
Yeah.
But we got in there in the pitch dark and had no clue what we were looking at, and probably could have killed a 130s, but live and learn.
Yeah.
Live and learn.
Yep. I mean, we had a much better vantage point of more ground
Oh, yeah.
from where we were. So it was
Right.
just kind of that trade-off. We didn't know he was going to walk
No.
right behind us like that.
No.
I mean, it sounded like a person walking in, to be honest
literally
with
did.
you.
That's what I thought it was.
And it didn't sound like that
He was
noise
coming-
was
yeah.
coming from where he ended up coming from.
Yeah,
So
that was wild.
yeah, just one of those things. But then, like the day after we left, Colby ended up shooting one.
Yep.
And it was just him and Mike there. And, that was nice to have some help trying to get that one out. But we ended up making a little bit of a video out of that. And then coming back into Wisconsin, then Eli shot his with a bow.
Yep.
And that was pretty cool. That was a really nice one. And that was actually a couple of shots in that one because Colby took a shot at one. I think he
That's right.
airmailed it. Right, it was too high, not too
Uh-huh.
low. And I know there was some stuff with that. He was thinking, that stand had to be moved a little bit, but it was cool footage. And then Eli got some cool footage as well. But then he had another nicked a branch. So then there was a deflection of the arrow. That wasn't like a perfect shot situation either. It just ended up working out great that I think he got the femoral artery.
Right.
And he just bled like crazy and ended up going down right there and was able to find him. But they did a great job getting a lot of footage in that one too.
Yeah.
And really took you through the whole day of
The ups
the hunt.
and downs.
Yeah.
And
And even at the end there too, you kind of felt like you were right there with them. So
right.
that was a good one, and that was pretty much it for our deer hunting, and that was pretty much it for our big videos. And then we just had these last couple of podcasts, obviously this last one, and then we got into the shorts a little bit, and we're gonna keep that going. But
Mm-hmm.
that was kind of our year. Yeah, you kind of
seems like it's better and better every year.
it does, and you kind of get wrapped up in it too. Like with the deer season, whatever, it comes to an end, and then you look back and it's like, man, we started off with those finding all those bucks,
Right.
and then getting all those sturgeon, and then our turkey hunting sucked. But it was great for those guys. Then they
Right.
had that Canada trip, and then the deer season was actually
Pretty
really
stellar.
good.
Yeah, I saw tons of deer.
Yeah.
You saw tons of deer. We saw lots of bucks. It
Right.
was fun.
Yeah. Looking
good
back on the year as a whole, it was a pretty fun year.
Agreed.
And I don't think we plan on slowing down
No.
going into next year either.
Mm-mm.
Just gonna change things up a little bit, start doing the shorts, and kind of focus on that a little bit more than the podcast. Still maybe do an episode or two here or there, but also kind of ramp things up and even try and make some improvements on our other videos too. Talking about some different technology and trying to, improve the quality a little bit and just keep trying to get better and better.
For sure.
Make a better product.
Should be fun.
Yeah. First up is maybe some small game. Maybe if
Probably.
we can get
Yeah.
out there,
Oh, yeah.
maybe a pheasant hunt.
Yeah, you know me. I'm down to hunt anything.
Yeah.
So
I know. And then spearing will be here before you know it.
I'm excited.
Yeah. Well, it was a heck of a year, buddy.
Yeah. 52 in the books.
52 in the books. We did it. I
Yep.
didn't know if we would when we started.
Thanks
but,
to you. You do all the work with that, and you've been on every one. There's a few I didn't make it to, so
But we made it happen, man. And
it was something.
it was something. A lot of work, but
Late nights.
a lot of late nights, but we did it. And, it made it worth it to do it because we had great guests and we had Colby and Eli who were helping out as much as they possibly could. And, everybody at home who ultimately watches the podcast or listens to it. And, we wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't for them. So thank you to you guys. Thank you to everybody who stuck with us for the year. Watched any of these videos, all these videos, however you watched, however many, it all makes a huge difference, and we really, really appreciate it. So looking forward to many more good years to come, but especially into next year. I think it's going to be a good one for us.
Me too.
Yeah. Well, once again, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you guys next time.